Hey everyone, this is the Sorcerer. I just want to explain a little bit on how they play, what they're good for, and maybe show some gameplay of it afterwards. Right off the bat, stats-wise, strength, vigor, and agility are pretty average. Having about 100 health is good, but it means they're one of the weaker classes on health side. Stronger than rogue, like health-wise better than rogue and wizard. Has high dexterity, high will, and high knowledge. That's fantastic. It means their spells can be cast quickly. The will being that high means that the spell damage is very high, and dexterity means that they can attack, and like their action speed is high too. So action speed's only at 3%, but it's not 0, which is good. Move speed, you know, under 300, but not too far away from it, so not very hard to get up there. And then, as I was talking about, so magical power bonus at 25% right now. Of course, you could get that better with more gear, but also the spell casting speed at 25%, so it's very, very good. I just got him to 23 recently, so I've been practicing quite a bit, and it's been pretty fun. Spell merge is the biggest perk that were given. That is the whole reason why Sorcerer is so good, because if you noticed, there are no skills for this class. You just have the 2 casting points, and we'll get to spells in just a minute. But first and foremost, you have Apex of Sorcery. So this perk is one of the best. It reduces your movement speed to 0, so you can't move while casting, but your damage output gains 100% magical damage bonus, basically doubling your damage, and 100% spell casting speed, so you have much faster spellcasting speed. Manifold is another very good spell. It reduces your cooldowns by 25%, so you're able to cast spells a lot quicker. You reducing the spellcasting speed, so like your spellcasting speed goes to be a lot slower, and your movement speed gets reduced as well. So Manifold, very good, but not amazing, not S tier, I would say. Spell Sculpting is one of their better spells, definitely one of their like filler spells, but it increases the range of your spell as well as the area of effect. So there's a few like AoE spells they have, and this helps a ton to make sure that those spells hit. Spell Stride, your movement speed bonus while casting spells. Usually I would pair this up with Manifold to kind of make it so that you only have the reduction of the spell casting speed. And time distortion. All spellcasting times are reduced to 0, so you cast things instantly, but cooldown times are increased by 5 times, so your cooldowns are heavily penalized by doing this. My current build is Spell Merge, Apex of Sorcery, Spell Sculpting, and Time Distortion. The main downside of running these 2 together is that the spellcasting speed on Apex of Sorcery is not great, but the magical damage bonus is just too insane to not have. Now, I will say, running these 2 together, the better build is probably Manifold over Time Distortion, just because then you still have a decent amount of spellcasting speed plus the magical damage bonus. And you'd be surprised at how many ways there's to actually push away enemies so you're not in danger. But this has been very fun for me to run, and that magical damage bonus, like, it's hard to not have this spell equipped. So next up, we'll go to the spells. Now the merge spells are very good, but I'll just go over the regular spells first. So in your tier 1, you have Wind Blasts, magical damage, and push them back. So Water Bolt, basically you deal 20 damage. It's a small orb that goes forward, and it inflicts wet. So wet is just reduces their move speed bonus, and they can't jump as high. And you can have 3 in the same spot. They go a certain distance and they sit. Stone Skin gives you physical damage reduction and magical and physical damage bonus, but you get a little bit slower. So Fire Arrow, 3 honing arrows. They each do 10 damage and burn for 3 seconds. So in total, but the burn is 3 times 3, so 9. It does 19 damage, just this one fire arrow. Ice Spear, 30 ice damage, and it's a full pass, so it pierces through and can do this to multiple enemies. Glaciate basically enhances your weapon to give frostbite, which is pretty spectacular. That's great, but it's only on you. You can't do it on others like the wizard. Flame Strike is a pillar lasting 3 seconds. So it deals 35 magical damage and 10 magical damage on the inside. So initially does a boatload, and then as you stand in it, you take burn damage and more fire damage. So Eruption is just one burst of 20 earth magical damage. Vortex, it's centered on the caster. It puts a wind barrier around you. Lightning Bolt, you fire a beam, kind of like the Ghostbusters beam, for 5 seconds, doing up to 50 damage. It's very good, and they lose move speed bonus. Fire Orb is a big spell, but it's basically like a large fireball that gets sent out at a slow pace, doing 30 damage on impact, and then 5 damage to like nearby enemies. Lightning Sphere, you surround yourself in a magnetic field. You deal electrified to anyone who walks within, and 10 damage. And then Levitation, it's sneaky good, but it makes anything you cast it on float. And if you don't hit, you float on yourself, so gotta be careful with it. And then Summon Earth Elemental. It's a little earth golem that you can cast, and it steps out of the ground. It's a beautiful spell. So now onto the merge spells. You have a lot of these. Now the first electric dash, you can see when you hover over it, it hovers over the 2 spells that you need to actually cast this. But it sends you into a location doing damage as you pass through and as you arrive. Elemental Bolt does frostbite and burn damage, and 50 just base damage. Frostbite Spear does 30 fire, 30 ice, so a total is 60 damage, inflicting burn and frostbite. So burn does more magical damage for 3 seconds, and they lose move speed and action speed for 3 seconds. Flamethrower is radio flames. It's like this burst of flame, so 10 damage for 5 seconds, so up to 50 damage, and inflicts burns for 3 seconds. I don't know if the burn stacks, but it's a lot. Icebound, you become frozen for 6 seconds. You can't really do anything within that period, but you're immune to all damage. Can be shattered with like, I think crossbows. Haven't tested it yet, but Lightning Storm is a big storm, dealing 15 magical damage per second, electrifying all targets within. Lightning Vortex does the same thing, but it's in a sphere around you. Mud Shield, you create, it's like a little orb in front of you. Lava Elemental, very similar to the regular Elemental, but he like stomps around with magma. Thorn of Earth juts up this large like thorn. And then Wall of Fire, another beautiful spell. You can technically do any sort of build. I will say that Lightning Storm is one of the best spells that I've seen so far. I also really love running Flame Strike and Ice Spear, as well as Water Bolt and Fire Arrow. These 2 are very good on their own, and they're very good to actually just send out. Electric Dash is kind of insane on this class. However, just due to spell memory restrictions, this is usually what I run. So then I can kind of get as many mergeable spells as possible without going over my limit. One thing to note about the Sorcerer is that you do only have 4 spell slots per wheel, and you do have to care about where your spells are so that they merge. For example, if I put these 2 on the same wheel, I can't merge this spell, so it doesn't pop up down below. But if I move it over to the right, I can merge and create a summon Lava Elemental. I do run from the Squire a longsword, because when you cast your spells, you actually just use your bare hands. Rawhide Gloves, Frock for the Knowledge. Knowledge is going to be fairly king, but Resourcefulness is going to help a lot in reducing those cooldowns. I do just go ahead and put on some Dexterity, but usually it's not my main. So I'll go ahead and hop into a game, show you some of those spells. Right over here, right over here. Got him. Did I get him? Hell yeah. Right here. Austin, Austin, don't leave me. Austin! Why'd you leave me? Ready when you are. Yeah, no, mine didn't cast either. Got one. Okay, go ahead. Yeah, buddy. Where'd he go? There he is. Ow! Oh, thank you for stopping it. Oh no, the curse of pain. Why doesn't it fall away with him? Kill the guy. Me too. I thought I was a dead man. Footsteps, footsteps, footsteps. Ah. More footsteps, more footsteps. Yeah, right here, right here, right here. Holy shit, I just killed you. Why?